Welcome to this session of consulting that I gave back in Kiev. I actually never recorded the intro, but I think this consulting that I gave about social media strategy, content distribution, content creation, and what kind of my focus is with globaltechbox.com. I think I never recorded this, and I got the chance to do that while I was in Kiev when I spent some time at Mobile Unity, and I was able to record it for you. So make sure you tune in, make sure you watch it, make sure to give me some feedback. And I hope you can learn something from the way we practice social media distribution, creation, and everything around it. So I hope you enjoy. Have a great day. So basically what I do is I run a YouTube and Facebook channel where the topics that I discuss is all about startups, technology, and innovation. The idea behind it is really focused on my interest, of my passion, like what I care about. And I was looking at a way of how I can take this passion and surround myself with people with similar interests. And today, with the opportunities of social media, this is very, very simple. It needs some planning that I also didn't know in the beginning how to do that. But now we do that like at a pretty big scale of how much content we produce with, I would say, very little efforts. In general, I mean, I guess you're all on social media, so you see the numbers on Facebook. I usually get 10x text versus video. So if I publish a piece of content about like in text and the same time something in video, I get the reach of 10 times of the video than I get organically with the text. We have a team of freelancers from around the world. We're 18. We have different types of video formats that we do. We now focused on the format of interviews and all kinds of variations. So it can be, as I said, like two people sitting next to each other. It can be me behind the camera. And then we have also like cases where, for example, like you will hear me, you will see the question, I'll ask the question, you'll hear it, but then it's only you in the frame answering the question. And sometimes we also do that I ask the question in a way or you answer in a certain way that we can fully cut out me and everything that is related to me, and it's just like one nice flowing video.
What did work best for you in terms of promoting at this initial stage when you just started producing the content? How did you grow the audience that watched you constantly?
There is not much else besides time. What you can do, and what I did a lot, is about like Facebook and YouTube paid promotion. It just gives you like this like little advantage that you don't have to tell people like I only have 20 views on a video. You can get like 1,200 or 1,500, depends like where your sweet spot is. But if you have budget, you can get it up to 10,000, and then you have people's attention. Mm-hmm. You know, then like you tell like people, especially people who are not at home in the social media world, they very quickly ask you, especially in corporate, they ask you very quickly, like, how many followers do you have? How many views do you get? And, you know, if you're a little bit into the zone and you know, like, what's going on social media, you understand it's the impact that you have on a certain community. So if, for me, it's all about, like, do the people in the startup world know about me? Am I being invited to places? Are people thinking of me when they're organizing stuff? And because this is happening to me, I am happy with the views I have. Doesn't mean I'm not doing it, but I'm saying like, for me, views is not the highest priority at all. It's more about the personal branding. You know, you always have to differentiate between an ad and, you know, like getting views onto your videos. So an ad is usually, what works very well for us is when you have really the first 4 or 5 seconds, maximum 5, because after 5 seconds, people can click it away on YouTube. So let's say maximum 3-4 seconds, you state very clearly what you do and what you want from the other person to get their interest. So for example, do you need IT development in Ukraine? That's a question mark. That takes 2 seconds. If you get the people's attention then they will watch the rest of the 27 seconds of your ad, and that's when you can catch them. So like, let's say what you can do is like, it's called custom audience. With the practicality of it, I don't know, because that's why I have an agency to do it for me. But what we do together is basically, we have this ad, also it's on my YouTube channel, you can see it, where I say like, are you interested in startups, tech and innovation? Question mark. And then subscribe to my channel, like you'll hear weekly updates of startups and stuff like this. And then only what you can do on YouTube is you can say, and also on Facebook, you can say like everybody who watched that ad for, let's say, minimum of 50% of the time, or 75, then you want to retarget them with another video. And what you can do then is really find the people who were interested in the first video without having to define the exact interest when you target them. So let's say majority of your potential clients are, let's say in Zurich, they are men, they're in a certain age group, but you don't know their interest because it might be someone who's very relevant, but he's just not interested in anything that you're testing on. So then you just show all these men this video, and then you'll see who watched it for 75% of the time, and then you show them a call to action video. LinkedIn for me works really well organically, really, really well. You know, you see what type of job titles you reach, and majority of the people that I reach are founder and CEOs. That's exactly what I'm looking for. In terms of paid advertisement, I have not tried it. The main reason being because I heard there's a floor, so like it's a minimum of $1 I think to start, and that's expensive if we talk about cents. But again, it might be relevant. You know, if you can generate a lead for a couple of dollars and then you sell them a couple of thousands of worth of services, then it might be relevant. The big advantage is like you do have people actually putting their real job title and real place where they're actually living. So I personally go only to conferences that are very relevant, and I see that, for example, in Switzerland for offline events there's quite everything already out there. So you have panel discussions, you have events, you have all kinds of things. So I found my niche online, and I think if I would go away from that, then I would kind of give up my niche and then try to penetrate other people's like areas. So I stay away from that because I feel right now there's nobody else out there who does the same amount and I think insightful content for entrepreneurs than I do. So like I rather like keep that separate for now. But again, online, offline is definitely something important. And the question is how it's being done. There's different ways of how you can produce content. Some people, what they do is like they have like, okay, we want to grow the YouTube channel and all the other channels I don't care about. So what you do is like you say on LinkedIn, hey, everybody, come check out my YouTube link, or come check out my newest video on YouTube. And you do the same on Facebook, you do the same on Twitter, and everything links to YouTube. The biggest advantage of it is probably it grows much faster than if you did all of it separately. The disadvantage is that if YouTube closes tomorrow, then you're out of the game. So what I do is I have this multi-channel strategy. So basically like I have more or less all major platforms covered, and we feed it with original content on all of them. So it takes much more time to grow all of them, and you have to understand how this paid advertising works on all of these different channels. Ultimately, I believe that like you have a much stronger audience because maybe you like Twitter better, but she likes websites, and he likes to get a notification on YouTube while he is preferring to follow me on Facebook and get it whenever the newsfeed decides to show it to him. You know, so everybody has their preferences, and that's what I work with. So I have literally almost all of these channels like covered, to really give everybody the experience of like, okay, you can consume my content anywhere you want, and it might hopefully as long as you consume it. You know, like I don't care where, but as long as you do. That is really nice because like sometimes really you see people who are very much into Instagram, and then we are there, and then people are like, you know, pull out their phone. It's like, hey, where can I follow you? And like, are you on Twitter? Yes, we're on Twitter also. So that's very cool. And then the second one I want to show you, this is my big slide of like how much content we produce from one single recording. So the idea is that like for me, when I meet these entrepreneurs, we want to give them the impression and the experience of having fun, having a good time, that their time was used efficiently. So what we saw that like many times like very big TV channels come in and they make like, I don't know, 2 days of recording. At the end, you have like 30 seconds of statement in the news. So we wanted to make sure that this is not happening. So what we do is like we have one recording. We usually block 60 minutes of the entrepreneur, not more. And within this 60 minutes, we record one main video, which is our long form content. Mm-hmm. It's about between 15 to 30 minutes. And I ask about 16 to 25 questions. Okay, depends on the conversation, depends how it goes. From that one video, we make about 200 pieces of content. So what you see here is everything that comes out of this one recording. And everything this is like automatically in terms of like everybody knows in my team what they have to do. But basically like we have so much content coming from here that like it's almost impossible to post everything, just because we also need to schedule it somehow and make sure it makes sense. So what we do is basically we have one main video, which is published every Monday. And then a few weeks, I would say 4 or 5 weeks later, we have all the short videos. So every question that I ask will be a separate video published. over the course of about 3 weeks. And then at some point, we also have the podcast. We take the audio and we upload it to all different kinds of podcasts. So it's on iTunes, it's on Google Play, it's called now Podcast. So it's literally everywhere.
Sorry, are you using any automation to upload that before I join?
No, I'll tell you why. We thought about it. Some of these tools, for example, like Facebook has an integrated like scheduling tool. So we use that. But like if you use, let's say, Buffer, then I feel like you lose touch with the algorithms. Like it needs some sensitivity to understand like when you post, what you post. And so far, I have never felt now is the moment to automate the things. So I'd rather have it like scheduled manually. Yeah, but I have 2 people dedicated just to this.
You said you have 2 videos per day.
Yes.
And 200 pieces of content per each. So you're posting like every.
We have about 100
other minute?
posts. We have about 100 posts. I did an experiment on Twitter, where I said like, there's some research about Twitter where they say it's about 18 minutes of half lifetime value for every tweet. So after 18 minutes, it's basically done. So like I post something now, if you open it in 20 minutes, the likelihood that you're going to see it is close to 0. So what I said, let's try and make an experiment. What happens if we post every 30 minutes, 24 hours from Sunday morning till Friday night, just the whole week. And funny thing was, number one, our impressions skyrocketed, obviously, but no one complained about spam. So it seems that Twitter is smart enough to not show the same tweet like many times to the same person. Facebook, we post, as I said, every day twice, plus sometimes when we have a new long form video additional.
So it takes basically a couple of days to post everything that you have for one video?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have, as I said, the main video is every Monday, and then a few weeks later we'll have the shorter videos also.
Okay.
So it's all it's not all at once. It's very simple. You have 6 videos, 6 YouTube links. So you do every link you have, let's say 4 tweets, and that's not so crazy, 4 tweets. You have to define your KPIs. I have one major KPI that is important for me, which is how many startups are interested in being on my show. And I can measure that because I see how many people sent me their pitch deck last year and how many people sent it this year. Last year was about 70 people or 70 companies. This year it's about up to date 150. So that's amazing. Again, if you compare it to a big venture capital fund, it's still nothing. They get 2,000 to 3,000 a year. But for someone who just started, it's not a bad way of getting people sending their pitch decks. But again, if you're talking about impressions, you can measure everything, literally everything. You can see on Twitter, you can see the income level of your audience. You can see their interest. You can see LinkedIn is very tough on analytics. They don't give you so much in the regular version that I have. I mean, Instagram tells you exactly when your audience is online, where they are from. Facebook gives you, how much percentage of people watch till what time in your video. There's so much to see. But again, for me, my main KPI is pitch decks. That's what I care about at the end, because that's what will make me and my firm a good venture capital fund if we have good deal flow. We live in a time where this idea of positioning yourself within the field of your interests and passion has never been easier. It's so easy. I mean, I know it looks fancy, but anybody who comes to me and tells me they can't afford this, I'll pay it for you. Trust me, this is not the problem. To have a camera, have a microphone, a tripod, start producing videos, and it's fine. And it's so much fun to. I talk all day. I talk about startups, tech, and innovation. What could be better? People come to me now in Zurich. Even people on the street recognize me. I mean, it's so much fun. It can't be better. It's a dream. Again, maybe one more thing. One of the biggest. I don't want to call it mistake, but the learning that I had is when I produced the content in the beginning, I was just doing what I thought was the right thing to do, which is the right thing to do for the very beginning. But then very quickly I went to the investors and asked them what they would like to hear. So my target audience is very defined. I want to reach people who are potentially investing in startups or investing. So in the beginning, the first 50 videos I did, and that's way too much, but the first 50 videos I did, I just spoke to the entrepreneurs, what I thought was interesting and whatever. But I never really asked any real investor, what would you like to hear? I do differently also with my clients. I do very differently today. So we sit together, we brainstorm. We say like, okay, we believe this could be interesting for our target audience. We'll make, let's say, 3-4 videos. We publish them, and then we go out and we say, hey, look, we produced this video. What do you think about it? What would you like to hear? What could be different? What could be better? And like this, you, number one, building the relationship with your target audience. And number two, you produce content that is relevant to them. And that makes it much easier. Why not to do that in the beginning? Much harder to get to people when you don't have anything in your hands. Like obviously, if you have like such close relationship with your target audience and you can ask them before you produce the first videos, go for it. But again, I think cost of videos is so low today. Like you'd rather produce something and it looks just much better if you come with something in your hands than empty-handed. We're focused on, we have multi-verticals, so all types of industries, but we focus on early stage investment. That means like, I would say up to Series B. So early stage would be seed, round A, round B, round C maybe, it depends a little bit. But, when it goes closer to private equity and IPO, then that's not for us. I'm not saying I would not feature them, but I would say like from an investment perspective, that's where I want to be. Yeah, on my show we have about, from all the videos we do, 80% startups and 20% like some outliers. So corporate lawyers or corporates or investors or people who maybe they're older startups, stuff like that. But 80% are in that category of early stage.